Good evening, Board of Directors. Bree Mignoni, District Clerk. Director Pasternak.
Here.
Director Potter.
Here.
Director Roberts.
Present.
Vice President Axworthy.
Here.
And President Vickers.
Present. Okay, next is approval of agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
I have a motion seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll have invocation by Mr. Robert Hernandez of the Pueblo West Fire Department.
Good evening, everybody. Will you please bow your heads with me? Father, we come before you tonight, thanking you for your goodness and your mercy. As you have blessed us through today, we ask you to continue on leading us and guiding us through this evening. That we place our lives and our thoughts in your hands, and we ask you, Lord, to show us the way. So I pray blessings upon everyone that is in this room tonight, their families. As we go through this meeting this evening, we thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Robert. Next, Pledge of Allegiance. Greg, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we'll have public comments.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Bree Mignoni, District Clerk. Please bear with me as we have a few that were submitted online and we have somebody that signed up in person. The first one that was submitted online comes from a Tim T. at 944 South Indian Bend here in Pueblo West. Dear members of the Pueblo West Metropolitan Board, after watching the February 9th board meeting, I am compelled to formally express my deep concern and profound disappointment regarding both the conduct displayed and the apparent lack of preparedness on critical infrastructure matters. The refusal of the board president to permit a rereading of the prior meeting's minutes was troubling. Public records are not procedural inconvenience. They are the foundation of governmental transparency and accountability. When clarification of the official record is resisted, it raises legitimate concerns about openness and accuracy. Residents deserve confidence that meeting minutes reflect a complete and accurate account of board actions, not a reluctance to revisit them. Even more concerning was the discussion surrounding the wastewater treatment plant. The inability to clearly articulate whether repairs had been completed or whether the facility was fully operational following a site tour reflects a troubling gap in oversight. The wastewater plant is not a peripheral issue. It is a critical public health and environmental asset. Board members charged with strategic planning and fiscal responsibility must be thoroughly informed about the operational status of infrastructure of this magnitude. Anything less is unacceptable. What was equally disheartening was the tone of the meeting itself. The board is entrusted with serving as the strategic planning and governing body of Pueblo West. Instead, the public witnessed divisiveness and pettiness that detract from the serious responsibilities entrusted to you. Such behavior does not reflect the level of professionalism or unity that residents expect from their elected officials. The community deserves leadership that is prepared, informed, transparent, and focused on long-term stewardship, not internal discord or procedural defensiveness. I urge the board to recommit itself to professionalism, accountability, and a disciplined focus on its core mission. Pueblo West residents are watching and they expect better. Sincerely, Tim T.
Thank you.
And let's see. The second one comes from Christine Evans, a Pueblo West resident. She preferred not to give her address publicly. She doesn't feel like that should be something that should be done and is wishing that we discuss that at some meeting where they don't need to provide their actual address for public knowledge. But her first letter she submitted to states, "Good evening, President Vickers, Vice President Axworthy, Directors, Mr. Robert, Mr. Potter, and Mr. Pasternak." From Christine Evans, a Pueblo West resident, voter, and taxpayer. What is the role of the Pueblo West Metro District Manager as follows? Pueblo West Metro District rules and regulations were updated on October 13th, 2025. Title I, General Provisions. District Manager. The person appointed by the board to manage the district is charged with enforcement of all rules and regulations of the district and otherwise acts at the direction of the board in accordance with the bylaws and other appropriate mechanisms employed by the board to provide such direction, such as resolution, motions, and agreements. Example 1. Changing work hours without notification or approval of the board. Example 2, being allowed to give last-minute answer to our legislative advocates without board approval or input. Example 3, changing the Pueblo West Metro District security system at the administrative building and spending funds not approved by the board. Example 4, being argumentative with the board and challenging the board. Where in the general provisions section under the district manager does it allow Mr. Hine to make his own decisions on legislative matters, changes to work hours, or spend Metro District funds without going in front of the Pueblo West Metro District Board of Directors for approval? If Mr. Hine continues to be given all these powers by the board because the board does not want to bother with implementing the rules and regulations, why is there even a board at all? The language in the rules, regulations, and bylaws needs to be clearly defined, narrowed down, and leave no room for assumptions by the board or Pueblo West Metro District. Accountability, transparency, and continuity is what needs to be activated by the board and the Pueblo West District Manager. Thank you for your time and attention to these matters of concern. Respectfully, Christine Evans.
Thank you.
Her second letter is public comment number 2, Christine Evans, Pueblo West resident, taxpayer, and voter. 2025 revised bylaws for the board review. The board needs to really take a closer look at the 2025 revised bylaws adopted by the resolution for the Pueblo West District Manager. What was the reason for revising the bylaws for the district manager position in 2025? Also, for those board members that stated at the last meeting, and I quote, "I don't want to get into the weeds. It is time that the elected board members get into the weeds." These bylaws need to be clearly defined so there are no misunderstandings in the future between the board and the Pueblo West District Manager and the Pueblo West citizens, taxpayers, and voters. I do not vote for Christian Hine. I voted for the Pueblo West Metro District Board candidate. And now it's time for each one of you to do what you all have been trusted to do, give clear and defined direction to Pueblo West District Manager so he can do a better job according to the board's criteria. 2025 revised bylaws adopted by resolution 2025-002. 1.6.13 District Manager. The board may appoint a district manager to serve for such terms and upon such conditions, including compensation, as the board may establish. Such managers shall be entrusted with the general supervision over the administration of the affairs, employees, and business of the district. The district manager shall be charged with the hiring and discharging of employees and the management of district properties. They shall have the care and custody of all funds of the district and shall deposit or cause to be deposited the same in the name of district and such banks or savings associations as the board may select. The district manager will approve or cause to be approved all appropriate vouchers, orders, and checks for payment and shall keep or cause to be kept regular books of account of all district transactions and shall obtain at the district's expense such bond for the faithful performance of its duties as the board may designate. The board may delegate any powers and duties to the manager as it considers appropriate while retaining ultimate authority over all powers as permitted by law. This last part of the bylaws needs to be better defined and needs more work by the board of directors. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Respectfully, Christine Evans. That is the last one that was submitted online, but we do have Mr. Joe Mahaney that has signed up, and his address is 159 West Mangrum Court, and his topic is second citizen comment.
Yeah, I wanted to speak at the second citizen's comment, not now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, at the end of the meeting. All right, thank you for those that sent in. Appreciate you getting involved and voicing your opinion. I appreciate that. That does give us things to think about, so thank you. Next is the director's comments. We'll start with Vice President Axworthy.
I have no comments.
Mr. Roberts?
In regards to, what is it, Christine Evans? Public comments. You are correct. The taxpayers of Pueblo West did elect us to be their voice. And with the powers and duties and responsibilities that have been placed upon us, we should be invoking those powers to facilitate effective change, consistency in our government operation, and accountability on all levels and all aspects. And I appreciate your comments and being forthcoming with that. I would like to see more public comments from our community. And you utilize that freedom of speech. Please do. Thank you.
Mr. Potter?
No comment at this time, thank you.
Mr. Pasternak?
No comment, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to discussion items H. Number one, a resolution appointing a member to the Committee of Architecture by Mr. Sean Winters.
Good evening, President Vickers, members of the board. As you might know, on March 24th of this year, we will have 3 Committee of Architecture members' terms end, and we will be asking the board to appoint 3 members to that committee. And so we have on your behalf solicited for that position to be filled. We started the solicitations several weeks ago, and the end of that solicitation period is March 1st. So we will be bringing forward those applications to the board thereafter for your review, in the hopes that we could get the board to appoint 3 members to that committee on the March 9th meeting. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
How many applications do you have right now?
As of late last week, I think we had 1. So we're hoping for a few more to apply. If we do fill 1, we would have 3 members on that committee, and we would have a quorum. We just can't afford to have anybody be absent during that time when we're seeking out more members.
Sean, my question is what is the deadline for the applications? Does that close the business on the 1st?
I'm not sure. I'd have to take a look. It is on the district website. I'm gonna say it's probably midnight on March 1st. I'm not quite sure if it is into business or if it's the end of the day. But March 1st is the date that we would be closing that out.
The reason I bring that up, I just want to ensure that in the past that we've had positions available before that closed the business when they were stipulated they were going to close at 11 p.m. So I want to make sure that any publication to the public as far as the application process and the submission of it is clear and clarified, and we're held to that standard. Thank you.
Don't think anybody else has any questions?
Yep, it is at 11 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the Civic Center Dog Park by Carol Cosby, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, President Vickers, members of the board. I'm here for the dog park at Civic Center Park. We actually opened the gates to that dog park last Thursday. It was freezing. We had a great attendance. We gave free hot dogs. Shiver and Shake came and did pup cups for the dogs. And so it was great attendance. But what I'm here for tonight is construction started on that Civic Center Dog Park last year and rolled into 2026. During the project review process, it was determined that the originally proposed shade structures, which currently are not out there, were not commercial grade or would not withstand the higher winds that we have out here in Pueblo West. So to ensure the durability of those, instead of just canceling them out of the project, I came to the board tonight to see if we could possibly reallocate $30,000 in the Conservation Trust budget to purchase those 3 commercial grade shades out in the dog park. And we're just reallocating, we put $30,000 in for a mower this year out of our Conservation Trust fund. And I think it's very important that those shade structures go in, and we're gonna, if possible, move that mower to the 2027 budget and use those funds to do the shade structures at the dog park. That would mean we would have to amend the resolution that was approved. So there is a resolution attached to tonight's packet, and staff recommends the approval of the $30,000 from Conservation Trust Fund for the board to approve if they want to move it into an action item.
So I have a couple of questions. How much do we have currently in the Conservation Trust Fund? Any idea?
No, because some of that is allocated to some of the projects that we already have. I can't answer that right now, no.
Right, so without knowing that, I don't wanna over-allocate. I wanna make sure we have the funds available there.
I'm not really asking for $30,000 more dollars. I'm not getting a mower for $30,000 and putting it towards the dog park. So I'm not doing this project to finish this project, is what I'm doing.
Oh, okay, I got it.
I'm not asking for 30 more thousand out of there. I'm just asking the board to amend that, yes, basically.
I understand it as you just explained it,
Okay.
thank you. Much
Sorry if
better.
I miscommunicated.
No, that's
that.
all right. That's why we ask questions. All right, good deal. These structures,
Shade structures.
what materials are they made out of?
Actually, they're on, that's okay. They're a heavy duty material, kind of like what we put over the playgrounds. This is the big one that will be put in the large dog park at the front entrance. And if you go to the next one, Bree. This is a smaller one, and that will go in the small dog park, and then on one of the areas in the larger dog park, closer to where the small dog park and the big dog park meet. It's very important to have shade out there. I think that was one of the main things that people asked. There's not a lot of shade where the old dog park is. These are nice shade structures and very durable for where we live.
And that's heavy-duty canvas?
Yes, sir.
Do we know what the rating is on those? Can you provide that or get that information for the ratings of?
Yeah, we can provide that.
And you said that they have currently ones that were out there already?
We don't have any
Oh,
out there.
already, okay.
We currently have benches and
Okay,
picnic
okay.
tables. We opened the park not waiting for that, these shade structures, because if it is approved, they're 4 to 6,
Right.
possibly 8 weeks out still.
I would like to see what the rating structure is of them, so that way that we get the appropriate type of material and equipment. That's my thought process.
Yeah, Mother Nature has a tendency to take canvas and just do what it wants to with it. So,
I would agree. I think we'd be better off with a permanent structure, metal tin roof, that kind of a thing. I think it would last a lot longer.
that's what I was thinking too.
We can definitely evaluate that. I'm sorry? Okay. You can remove them during the winter. They only go up during the summer months, spring, when needed. So I know that our project management team has been looking into that. We've been researching. I just don't know the rating.
I'd just like to see longevity in the product.
Agreed.
Carol, how much money was allocated for the shade structures that were
The money that
included?
was allocated for the original amount was $12,000.
So, so for 42,000, is there a way to look and see if we can do a metal roof on structures? Can you check that out and see?
We can look, absolutely.
How many structures we're talking about? 2?
3
3.
shade structures. We'll go back and we'll look at that and we'll bring it back to the board.
Appreciate it.
I would appreciate that too. Thank you,
Yeah.
Carol.
Sure,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm on the next one as well.
Okay.
Civic Center Trail Phase 1.
Civic Center Trail Phase 1 is under construction right now. Since mobilization, there have been some unforeseen conditions in the scope and some adjustments that have been identified that we need to look at. The first is the irrigation lines and the sprinkler heads. They must be relocated and accommodated for this trail alignment. As work has progressed closer to the playground, the extent of the necessary irrigation modifications increased. So in addition to that, they'll be around that material. So we are putting the playground surfacing into this grant because it falls within the boundary. Bree, could you pull up? Keep going, keep going. Right there. If you look at the screen, Phase 1 is within the yellow lines outlining the area. When we originally applied for this grant, we were awarded $513,000 for Phase 1. When it went out to bid, it came in at $199,000. That does not include the 10% contingency, so we were up about $213,000. We looked at possibly adding Phase 2. We've brought that to the board. I think Mr. Axworthy brought that up at one of the meetings. But that doesn't fall within the scope of work where the yellow outline is. So within the yellow outline is the playground where the sprinklers will be having to relocate, which will fall into that surfacing. So that surfacing would go within the project, as well as some curb heads that we had fence, and we didn't feel fencing would be good, but we need some kind of barrier from the trail, so curbs would be there. And the additional funds for this project added into the project would be $53,939.16. And then there would be a contingency of approximately $5,393 and some odd cents. That would include the concrete curbs, handicap ramps, concrete pads, and the pour-in-place surfacing. Again, this is federal funding. There is no match to this grant. So this would just be a change in the scope and adding it to the project. Again, we have a resolution with Shishler Inc., and that would also have to be amended, which is attached tonight, which we do recommend the board possibly moving this to an action item so the resolution can be approved so we can move forward. Are there any questions?
I noticed there was more money available in that grant.
There is more money after this, yes.
After that, yeah.
Yes.
Is there any way we can use that, or do we just kind of?
No, it only can fall within the yellow perimeter of this thing, and that has to be the scope of this project. If we don't use it, it goes back to the CDOT.
And what was the cause of the problem? The need for this?
There was handicap ramps that weren't added, that we can add. The sprinkler irrigation system runs through right close to where the playground is, which is going to be where the concrete curb is. There's curbing by the upper parking lot, and those are just things that we were adding to the project so we can make it more accessible to people.
Can we get a shade structure over the dog park?
No, that doesn't fall within the, I was hoping, but that doesn't fall within the yellow lines.
He's trying.
We were trying.
What about
We
over
were
the
trying.
parking lot?
That was gonna be my question. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution for approving the amendment to the construction of the Civic Center Dog Park awarded to RDR
No.
Construction.
Shishler Inc.
Shishler Inc.
Shore Inc.
Yeah, they did.
I got the wrong one pulled up?
RDR is the dog park.
Oh, duh. Okay. All right, let me reread that again. First, I'd like to make this a action item for the resolution. I make a motion for that.
I think
I
it
believe you
just-
may just move, and then that motion can
Okay.
be considered action.
All right, sounds good. For a resolution awarding IFB 2025 CP 2505 Civic Center Trail Phase 1, MTF M087-015, and in parentheses, 26431 to Schiller Incorporated.
Schistler.
Schistler.
Second.
Well, I have a motion, second, to approve the recommended increase for a addition to our Trail 1 Civic Center phase. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay, we're at,
Sale of district property.
sale of district property, Westover Homes, or, excuse me, to KRF Pueblo, Marcos Road.
Good evening, President Vickers, esteemed board. My name is Marcos Reyes. I'm your Economic Support Specialist. We have before you today a development group, KRF, has expressed interest in purchasing 22.7 acres of land located on the northwest side of McCulloch Boulevard and Highway 50 for development of a shopping center. Staff has received a formal purchase and sale agreement, which is in your packet. We are here for any questions if you have any.
Mr. Pasternak?
All right. So I thought a lot about this one. Started by reading the contract, going through that. I guess first, could I get a rundown, maybe, Carl, on what's inbounds, out of bounds? Because this item's also on the.
Thank you very much, Director. Carl Cumley, General Counsel for the district. You have noticed for this meeting an executive session at the end of the meeting to discuss instructions to negotiators. It does not provide for receiving legal advice from counsel, but if you want to discuss terms that you would like staff to discuss with the applicant, those should be saved for the executive session. I think this is a great opportunity for you to ask questions, but keep in mind that questions sometimes telegraph answers, so that if you think that you might be getting into an area where you're going to want to discuss with staff how to move forward with negotiations, you may want to save those matters for the executive session. Does that help?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Okay, so big picture, I guess I'm probably talking mostly to the board here, but do we want another grocery store? So I have concerns about another grocery store that we have under contract. I have concerns over another grocery store being across from current grocery store and another one down the road. Okay.
Get my computer back.
Can I entertain that discussion?
Yeah, go ahead.
So personally, I mean, right now, we're at the mercy of Walmart and the Albertsons, Safeway, and King Soopers stores within our area. 3 of which are within 8 miles of our location. located off of Highway 50, going into Pueblo before you get to I-25. I think with the potential of one or two more grocery stores coming in, it's going to incentivize some competitiveness within our community that's actually going to do some job creation at the same time.
I think for that exact same reason, I think we shouldn't consider this option. Because I think that that is gonna cannibalize our community, the grocery stores. For example, I think that we're creating jobs, but I wouldn't consider them primary jobs, I guess, for one. Two, by opening another grocery store, we're just simply moving money, perhaps from Safeway, perhaps from the new addition on South McCulloch, and from Walmart right across the street. So, plus I also see that piece of real estate as the best piece we got. And they're taking, of the best piece we got, the prime piece of it, the filet mignon. They're taking two dominant corners. I just, personally, it's not costing us anything to hold it. Personally, I would rather wait, and just not do this deal. That's where I'm at, with it, because I think that if I consider a worst case scenario, they open up, the other guys that we just approved say, forget it, we're gonna get smoked by this new game in town, not opening up. To me, I'd rather have that, I don't know if we're allowed to say the name, that's why I'm kind of bouncing around.
They prefer Iron Rock Development for the
Okay,
other deal.
Iron Rock,
Yep.
so, I see that as a unfolding to our detriment, and just moving money around that's already in the community, just circulating it to new stores. I mean, think about this, worst case scenario, Safeway shuts down because two new grocers open up. Then what happens to all the small businesses in that, over there by the Safeway? I mean, Safeway is the anchor. So, that's my concern. Big picture, strategy, thinking on it.
I look at it from this perspective. Our high schoolers who want summertime jobs, or when they get out of high school and they don't know what direction to go and with a educational path or a career path, it gives them the opportunity to be able to either walk or ride a bicycle or drive a car a short distance to occupy a job and get some experience under their belt before they venture off into the world. It's going to bring in additional tax dollars to our district also, okay, which will be going to us and not just to Pueblo County. If you take a look at it in retrospect to the 6A fire sales tax for the fire department, okay, and then the roads. Of course, that's going to go to Pueblo County, and then we get our portion. Whatever that portion is going to be, we'll find out here soon, hopefully. But I think that's the risk with entrepreneurship and any business that wants to come into a community, that whoever comes forth with the deal and the opportunity first, okay, the person who's in the same path but behind the person who's the front runner will always have the option to bow out, as long as they're not tangibly engaged with money in a contract. So I'd hate to see both of them all of a sudden just say, you know what, we're both pulling out. And now we got nothing.
I think they're more likely to pull out seeing a competitor move right up the street. I think it's a bad idea. And I'd rather, okay, high school kids, they can get jobs anywhere. They can go to McDonald's, they can go, their moms can drop them off, whatever. I mean, I'd rather hold out for and seek an employer bringing in $100,000 jobs. Frankly, I'd rather give away. Let me ask, if I sat here and asked myself, would I give that parcel away to this project? Absolutely not. Do we need $700,000? Do we need it that bad? No. Fortunately, we don't have struggles that other government entities do in our area. I think we need, what can set us up greater, is to hold on and get primary jobs at that, and I'd be personally 100% willing to give away the entire 90-acre parcel if there were primary jobs brought in, good ones. That's how I look at it.
Just to clarify, are we giving parcels away?
I'm just saying,
Or
as
is
an
that-
example.
Or is that a figure of speech?
I'm thinking about the long-term game, not just right now, oh great, we get $750,000.
I'm
Big
not
deal.
asking for myself, it's just public impression that, I don't wanna give them the impression we're giving property away.
No, but I'm
That's
asking
why.
myself that, is this such a good deal that I would consider doing that? For me, absolutely not. But I think there are fish that are big enough out there that I would highly consider doing that. Primary jobs. That's our best piece of real estate. If anybody thinks otherwise, then, I mean, let's consider it, but that's where I'm at. I just, it's the same thing we already got, to me. We have no idea what the pad sites are gonna be. But if that thing shuts down Safeway, it's like, okay, now this part of Pueblo West is great, but now that one's sunk. We sunk that one. It's like I'm just not interested.
Anybody else for discussion on this?
Yeah, so I think, I understand what you're saying, Chris.
Mm.
And I would like to see some primary jobs in the area where people are actually working while they're living in Pueblo West. From a, not just commercial standpoint, but industrial or what have you. Something that can bring in some good money for folks that actually live here. However, I do think Sprouts has its own specific products that attract specific demographics. So I don't think Sprouts is in direct competition with a regular grocery store like Safeway. I think I agree with Greg in that competition is good. And honestly, if you got 3 stores in the immediate area, the first one to staff their checkout lines is probably going to win instead of doing self-checkout everywhere. And I think a lot of people would agree with me. I think the customer service levels have been lacking, and maybe this is what's needed to kick them in the butt a little bit. Do I agree what could potentially happen down the road? Could it shut down one of those other stores? Possibly. And then what do we do then? I'm not sure. I don't have the answer for that. Just as I don't have an answer for who would be willing to come in and create primary jobs in that corner. Again, I understand what you're saying, and I think it's a good thought forward. I wish we had some prospects that we could even consider.
But hey, you gotta
But we-
remember
but we
too,
don't.
we're not marketing this piece at all, correct? We just wait until somebody shows up and
Part
says,
of the issue with marketing is that would be a subdivision, so they would have to bring water. That was one of the major holdups with this. This has been in negotiations for about 2 years.
right,
So we
Cool.
wouldn't be able to market it unless it was to a very finite group of people that would be able to bring water rights here. Because it
Right,
would be a
but-
subdivision.
okay, but these guys aren't bringing water, correct?
They are doing cash in lieu of.
Correct, so there's other people that have loads of cash that can do cash in lieu.
That would be a decision for the board.
I'm just saying, we're not exactly marketing it to anybody for primary jobs.
Yeah. So would
No,
you,
we're
are you
just
saying
not-
that Pedco would be on board with trying to place a company there?
I think so.
Do
I mean,
do
I'm not
they have
saying
any
that
prospects?
I know so, but I think that,
I'm assuming that's where this is coming from.
I think you're
there's-
venturing into something that Pitco, working outside of the city limits, would have an issue with, because they get a sales tax for that, don't they? Or had at one point.
yeah, but they can still
So-
offer services.
Um, I don't-
Nonetheless, I just think that it's not even, it's just what I've learned, not necessarily just from like pulling from a Pedco thing. Of course, that's their main thing, is Pedco's primary jobs.
Mhm.
But for me, it's more of, what is this gonna do? What is this really gonna do for the community? It's
Well, we're hoping it's gonna bring in some restaurants in addition to some competition. Right? I mean, the public has been
I mean, I
screaming
think-
for more restaurants and facilities in Pueblo West. So we don't have to drive into town to get what we want. I mean, I think that's what exciting about the pads, and you're right, we don't exactly know what's gonna end up there. We haven't been told anything, it's kinda open at this point. But that's the goal.
I
That's
think,
all I have to say.
I think competition is good. If you've been in Pueblo lately, you've seen a bunch of gas stations sprout up on the south side of town. That's benefited, they obviously think they can all make money, but it has a direct impact on how it's benefited the citizenry. Competition always benefits the consumer, and it makes them operate better. As Greg said, the first one that does something different is usually gonna win out. But if they weren't buying this from us and they were buying it somewhere else, there would be no debate. I think as government officials, a lot of times we try to get into areas of expertise that we don't have any business being there. For us to determine what is good and bad for the community is not, in my opinion, our purview. They've offered to purchase a piece of ground and start up a business. They're gonna bring other businesses with them. We have not, I've been on the board a long time, in this community a long time, and there has not been overwhelming cry for properties like that. And that competition, when you see a restaurant, fast food restaurants, what do you see around fast food restaurants? You see a whole slew of fast food restaurants. They feed off of each other. To them, that's, if they were worried about competition, why would they move right across Walmart, one of the biggest retailers in the country? So evidently, they have something to offer, or they think they have something to offer for the public that will benefit both the public and them. So I don't think, in my opinion, is we should get in to try to decide who's the best pick, what's the best pick, and let the market decide that. That's my 2 cents.
I don't think we've opened it up to the market, is one of my points, and I do think that one of our primary purposes is to decide what is good and bad for the community, and in my opinion, this is not good. It's okay, it's fine, it's okay, middle of the road, but it's not, I mean, and the difference between us as a government entity and a private individual, for example, if I owned that, 100% I'm selling that immediately, because it's just about, okay, what do I put in my wallet as an investor, right? Whereas the government, it's not about that. It's about, what does this look like 50 years from now, 100 years from now?
Well, I don't think that's government's responsibility. I wouldn't give that much credence to anything that government plans and does over a course of 100 years.
If we own land, I think we ought to consider it, since we do.
There was a time too, we did put when I was on the board back in 2008, I know that we ran articles or advertisements in the Wall Street Journal, trade magazines, and various newspapers across the country advertising properties for sale in Pueblo West, and it didn't materialize to anything. So it has been marketed. But I agree. I think there's a possibility that things may be different if we just said, we've got this land for sale, somebody come and buy it. Maybe you'd get a bite, and maybe you wouldn't, but we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know how long we will hang on to that piece of ground. And the next board may have a different opinion of what is to happen. I think I've heard a saying that says a bird in the bush is worth, or bird in hand is worth two in the bush, so I think we should take the opportunity myself.
Any comments, Rodney?
And this is just a discussion item, correct?
Yes.
Anything you two'd like to add?
Oh, yeah. I will refrain from drifting into what I think is opinion and try and stick to just adding what I think is useful context. One of those items being the zoning of this area compared to the zoning of other lots we have available in the district that are zoned I-2 or industrial, that are along industrial. Those are sites that we also have that we can offer to and market to primary employers. So this potential that we're considering does not preclude any work towards that. And I do believe if there's optimism to be found on this side of the room, I think that we discuss at a senior leadership level, and we have been making plans so that we don't shoot ourselves in the feet for the district. What does it look like to get to full build out of the district? And when it comes to competition, what I see here is a potential opportunity to raise the ceiling of how livable Pueblo West continues to be, how many more people it can support as a vendor, plus any of the pad sites that might serve that market as well. My hope is not a strategy. If you've ever done sales, that's the first thing they teach you. Hope is not a strategy, but the hope would be this would also increase the property values of people in the district. It would make property more desirable potentially for other developers, and we could possibly, no guarantees ever, but see a knock-on effect of an increased interest in development in some of our other locations where now we're, in theory, going to be able to support more of that population. Understanding that we are the team sitting here who have a number we get presented and we're said, fill this number out. And we're looking for opportunities to do that with all of the concerns of Director Pasternak well considered and understood. Those are just a few of the contextual thoughts I wanted to put before the group.
I'd like to add a couple of things. First of all, a lot of people don't realize we are the third largest population base south of the Denver area. There's Springs, there's Pueblo, and then there's us. We are the fifth largest city or governmental entity by land in the state. We have a lot of potential to grow. And also, the competition is fierce. Now, let's keep in mind there's still a lot of people that shop by coupons. So they'll hit different facilities for different reasons. I believe that this will bring a lot more sales tax revenue from the ancillary pads. Just like you have your anchor at Safeway, you're gonna have all those other stores that do contribute to our sales tax base. You will have the same thing with this one. They do have plans for another gasoline station. So that'll add some more competition, and hopefully we won't have to drive into town to save 30 or 40 cents. There's a lot of benefits for this as far as jobs. There's a large percentage. We could have anywhere from 10 to 15 jobs per pad, depending on what it is. If it is a full-service restaurant, you know, the potential is pretty well to have 40 or 50, considering staff, wait staff, bartending, and all the other things. Now, also these businesses will attract other businesses, because you're gonna need transportation to them. You're going to need services for them. You'll need the plumbers, the electricians, You'll need all those other services that go with these businesses once they are constructed. So all in all, it's not just a one-off project. The entire community will benefit down the road from this, from all the other ancillary things, dry cleaners, things like that, all the things that we don't think about, the things that service these businesses once they come in. So this would be a plus for our community in that aspect.
I just want to add a couple of things. When I lived in Canyon City up to 1987, and then moved to Penrose, I would literally not drive to Canyon City to go to Walmart. I would come to Pueblo West Walmart. Two things. I didn't have to deal with the extra crowd that they had in Canyon City. The other thing was the sales tax was less, right? But now that I'm living in Pueblo West, I can get up to the intersection of McCulloch and 50 and see that parking lot and say, I don't want to deal with the crowd at Walmart. I'm going to Safeway. Okay? So, if you look at it like this, people come here and they take into account amenities. Just like I said before, when we talk about an aquatic center, a golf course, a reservoir, walking, bike paths, equestrian property, okay? They all come here for one reason or another, or for all those reasons at the same time. But I can see the competition changing when this store comes in, just by sitting at the intersection of 50 and McCulloch and going, wow, look how much room we got in the Walmart parking lot. Maybe 1/3's at Safeway, 1/3's at Walmart, and the other third is at Sprouts, King Soopers, whoever it is. Okay, but needless to say, we have the time and opportunity to seize a new business coming into our community, which is going to be bringing competition and jobs. And I think that's a win-win, and extra tax money.
I realize your concern of the too many grocery stores, but I think Canyon City has a population of 14,000 people. They have two. They have Walmart and a Safeway, and then within Florence has another one. So within the district smaller than Pueblo West, there's three with quite a few less people. We're 3 times bigger than they are.
Yeah, they got a city market there too.
They have City Market.
Yeah, within 500 yards of
So,
Safeway.
I don't think that you're gonna drive anybody out of business.
City market's a conglomerate of King
Kroger.
Soopers. Kroger, yes.
If I can add one more item, Director Pasternak is not wrong. This is our best spot. And again, hope is not a strategy, but we can keep developing out to the west of it if there's people coming through there. And that's going to continue to make what remains of this subdivision parcel attractive to, hopefully, we can still bring in
Yeah,
primary
I agree with you on
employers after the fact. But he is absolutely correct in saying this is our best spot. And the number one challenge, as Marcos said, was finding someone who could come to the table with either water resources or discussing with the board a cash in lieu option. And that does make for a very narrow pool from potential partners we've seen to date.
And there's still gonna be about 68 acres, if, give or take, that can further develop to the west of that.
But our bias being on full display, our job is to bring the deal. So I highly value that this is being discussed at the level it is, because that's ultimately what the public needs from you guys, so.
And in fairness, what we determine as our best spot may not be what private industry thinks is the best spot.
Also true.
There's some private lots for sale out there that have pretty good exposure.
Yep, for the right
So,
fits, yeah.
It's all subject to what the market says can be made with that spot. So, anyway, if there's nothing else.
I'm just gonna, no, I appreciate Chris's thought process into this and what he's suggested and put forth there. And again, I was going to say the same thing as far as this is a very prime piece of real estate, and I think private industry has sometimes different thought processes, especially when you come down to those $100,000 jobs or whatever they may be. They usually develop outside of those type of communities so that people can go to work and work, so to speak. But again, I go back to the crystal ball stuff. We don't know what the future holds.
That's true.
We don't know what will happen with this situation. And I think, being the fact that we've got some groundbreaking things happening within Pueblo and keeping the motivation going, so to speak, and keeping those, instead of holding the carrot in front of these businesses that want something or are asking for our real estate, to actually start moving with things. Because again, there's gonna be some other piece of real estate, I think, that would probably be beneficial to those $100,000 jobs, but, and again, I appreciate what Chris's thought processes and what he's done to move forward, to give his, opinion on what was been provided to him. But I have to say that I think, again, with the crystal ball thing, I don't know what the future holds. And when you go to other places out there, there's grocery stores all over the place. That's just my thought process. And all of them hold up to their own. And again, I wouldn't like to see Safeway. It's a very good looking forward, but I don't think that would happen in this instance. I think the community is very well established, and plus, a lot of people might even come this way from Canyon City to go shopping. And we might bring in those people to come this way, if for anything, because of our sales tax. That's just my thought process, but I do want to appreciate what Chris has put out there and think about it a little more.
That road going between the pad sites and the grocery store, is that gonna be compatible to go west? Into
To
the,
extend?
yeah,
I don't,
cause that's gonna
I
be.
think that's gonna be a county call. And
Okay.
this is from the last sketch plan, is that correct or no?
yes, I think what Director Pasternak is referencing though is on the actual plot
This-
plan.
this
If they have a
conceptual plan here,
development
yeah.
next to this one, can they continue the westbound road? I believe that would be a question that we could relay to the developer. I don't have the answer to that, but I can definitely have it.
Okay, cause my thought process is that that's gonna be, if that's an allowable access there off McCulloch, that's gonna be the route that most people are gonna take to get in there. So it would be, I think it would behoove us to make that road, a nice thoroughfare into the next piece that's, not pictured there, but will be at some point in the future. The remaining 70 odd acres.
This is what's left.
And it's
Yeah.
bigger than
It's
that even,
bigger than
yeah,
that.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
It goes way up in there,
back
yeah.
behind there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's talking about this road.
Yes.
Correct.
And don't forget, this is
That's
industrial.
industrial.
That's just
Right.
industrial.
Right, but everybody off 50 is gonna be taking that left. If
Yeah,
that's,
that'll probably-
doable
That's
there.
probably gonna be a light intersection there.
Yeah, there is traffic studies being done on
Yes, there-
this.
Okay.
It's already in process or complete, but
So
that,
this plot isn't finalized as far as the traffic flow and entrance into the
It's-
lot?
I think it's conceptual.
We do believe that they're
Conceptual site plan.
pretty much, they've already started the traffic survey. I think they've already come to what they want, and I think it's gonna be up to CDOT. And, at this time, Pueblo County has hired another organization to review it also, just for a final check. So I think that's where they're at, but for the action item, I can give you guys a more accurate timeline of where that is.
I know in the past we were talking about whether or not they could get access to McCulloch like that. And
That
we're-
was-
we're waiting
so-
on county's approval, which we're still
So,
pending, is that?
They had a meeting with county and they had a meeting with CDOT at the same time. And they came to terms on what the traffic study needed to look like, and they conducted that traffic study. Both CDOT and the county were both amicable to whatever they presented. They just had to have the facts. So that is where the last meeting I was a part of. I can reach out to the developer and see where they're at per him, but,
Okay, just wondering.
Would that be a private road?
I would assume that would be a private road potentially, yes.
So they may have to go down to the light to and down industrial to get to the remaining properties.
Possibly.
Yes.
All right. Good.
I have more. So if I have contract-specific ones, Carl,
I'm sorry.
if I have contract-specific questions, do I hold off?
If there are contract-specific questions, let's do that in the executive session, if that's acceptable.
Okay. I think all this is.
The reason for that is that there may be quid pro quo changes to the contract.
Okay. I think that's it.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it. You're still there? Okay.
Yes,
Sale
sir.
of district property to Westover Homes by Marcus Reyes.
President Vickers, esteemed board, Marcos Reyes, again, economic support specialist. So Westover Homes is back. They have submitted an offer for $20,000 for the purchase of 2 lots located on Mayweather Drive. I do have some apologies. I did not include the map in your packet. However, there is a map in front of you now. Those are the 2 locations. I am here and available for any questions.
Okay, where is this?
So $20,000 for both those lots, right?
Correct.
So by my, okay, so by my estimation, they're paying at most 50% of what they're probably worth, based on comps. I pulled 7 of them over the last 2 years.
This is why we were looking to redo a lot of our pricing, because a lot of our pricing has been out of whack. However, 3 things to keep in mind. Number one, we've had 0 tangible offers for this. We've had multiple interest. I had a developer that came down, wanted to buy 10 lots. Once they realized the infrastructure that was needed to do to those lots, they immediately decided not to.
Yeah.
There's gonna be about $22,700 in just electrical costs for these 2 lots themselves. So that is why we're pricing at that. Also, just like she bought the 6 by the fire station, her intentions are to dig these in March. She will go ahead and then purchase in May 2 more lots, and then she'll potentially purchase 2 more, and then 2 more along Spalding after that. So she has intentions of eventually probably purchasing the majority of those lots along that road, and then possibly doing some infrastructure changes or additions to Spalding at that time. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of hopefully, hopium, but it's possible.
just to note, out of the 4, out of the 6 that she's bought up north, she started 4. And I do apologize, but staff does recommend if we could move this discussion item to an action item and approve a resolution authorizing the sale of property to Westover Homes LLC.
So this is east of Purcell, correct?
Yes, sir. This is east of Purcell and south of Spalding.
And it's south of Spalding, south of the highway. Okay.
Yeah, I drove by there today. I drove off the road because the potholes were so extreme on Spalding.
Yes, sir.
So, Marcos, so she's interested in those other blue dots in that that plot of ground, is that what you're telling us?
So where the two yellow are, she is interested in all of those. She's also interested in some of the lawns along Spalding itself.
West?
Um,
Headed west, or?
It would be going west from the location of those two, and then west on the north part of Spalding. Bless you. Now, you know, of course, as long as the market holds up and everything's going like that, these will move pretty quickly. Not to say, like I said, if the market drops out, then of
Well-
course, that's why she's not willing to purchase all of them at this time. But
You also gotta remember the main reason you don't have any interest, or you haven't had any interest, is because we don't list property on the market. So a regular consumer's not gonna drive by and say, hey, I wanna buy that lot, let me call Pueblo West Metro District off the sign that I drove off the road, back on the road, happened to drive down this, you know what I mean?
yes, sir, I do.
So, I mean, I don't really care if we sell it at 50% off. I'm just, just throwing it
Sets
out there.
precedent, yeah.
Yeah.
And then and the next builder says, well, you sold it to Westover Homes, that was public, why don't you sell it to me for 50% off? So, I don't know, whatever. I don't have a big preference on this one.
But I think you do raise a valid point. When you have people that approach you with an offer, you don't know who else is out there that may be willing to buy that for the same amount or $100 more. So at some point, I think we should really talk about how we do market our land and whether because not everybody has the same access to it. I guess that's what Chris is saying. And I agree to a certain extent that's somebody makes an offer and we take it, nobody else was offered that same deal. So first come, first serve doesn't seem like a very.
It's kind of like if you know, then you know, and then you get the deal.
We've had, like I said, we've had two different entities look at property there. One of them was an issue with the water, and the second one was an issue with the infrastructure.
Yeah, and I
So-
don't know
At
what
what
these ones,
price?
if these ones had power or not, but they were all in the immediate area.
One of them, the
seven
price was never
concept boards.
discussed, and the second one, as soon as he realized the infrastructure was needed, he was not interested at all. So we had met out there, and it was him and his investor, and they looked at it and they weren't. So and keep in mind, there will probably be additions to infrastructure that she'll need to do along Spalding and things like that. So,
Marco, this Westover Homes, is that Colorado Springs based, or are they based here in Pueblo West?
they, I believe, are based out of Springs, but they have done business in the district for at least the 5 years I've been here. I have dealt with them on countless opportunities. She's always been very honest, very forthright. I've never had a problem with Lori, even when I was doing covenant compliance.
You got an idea what their portfolio looks like?
So they started with manufactured homes. They typically have the siding, stone, and they're all electric houses. They're doing
On
they're doing
foundations?
stick built now,
Or-
yeah,
Or on slabs?
crawl space. So they're doing stick built now. Yeah,
I
they
was
sold
just
a bunch of houses out here.
kinda looking them up and trying to see how many years they've been in business and stuff, and
So I do know one thing about that she's actually really excited about is she's developing a house that's actually has like a mother-in-law suite attached to it that's completely separate because that is a big demand here. A lot of ADUs. So this is something that I think one of the reasons why she's looking at this is that it's an R5, so they probably would be able to do that, is have that mother-in-law suite attached, even though it would be considered part of it. But that is one of the reasons why also I think she's really looking forward to these properties.
do you think we need a market analysis on the value of the property before moving forward?
To be honest with you,
Cause I sold a lot 5 years ago.
no, I
Right
mean,
over off of Golfwood for $35,000 and I bought it for 20.
yeah, I mean, in all reality, I bought a lot and then 3 years later I sold for $8,000 and 3 years later I sold for 31,000. So I mean, there's a lot of potential for that, but we also have to take into account if the market drops out, what's gonna happen. And that's one of the reasons why this isn't just selling someone a lot. This is selling a builder who we know has built countless homes here. And
Right now, they just want 2 lots.
Well, the reason, I mean, honestly, she's looking at 10. We were discussing 10. However, she doesn't want to get caught owning 8 properties because the market decided to drop. I mean, right now, the
But
market.
she ain't got a crystal ball either, so.
She,
I
oh, no,
understand.
right. And
I
that's,
understand that.
that's one of the things. And that's why I said, you know, she, like I said, we have, I actually had her write this. She's like, my intentions to allow purchase are 254, 280 Merriweather, first and dig in March. I will again go start the last 2 of the 6. Keep in mind, she bought 6 in December. She's already building 4. So she's gonna go back and finish the last 2. Then she'll circle back. She'll purchase 2 more lots that she can start in May. Then I want to dig 2 per month, and we'll buy 2 at the time to dig 2 per month all along Spalding. So what she's saying is she's gonna dig 2 and then buy 2 more.
Yeah.
And then dig those 2 and then buy 2 more. And
Yeah,
then-
we understand. So what, as you looked at the comps, Chris, so
Yeah.
are we really right at 50%?
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Okay.
So average price per acre is $21,405.87 on the 7 that I pulled. And these ones are bigger than any of those ones. These ones that she's proposing to buy are like 1.36 and 1.48.
Yeah.
The other ones were closer to 1.
I like to be closer to fair market value.
Did those lots have the utilities and all that over
That
there?
I don't know, but they were in the immediate area. I don't have the addresses written down, but they were all in the immediate area.
So I think if
So-
we were to move forward with something like this, we need to document why it's being sold at a reduced price. We can't just,
No, I do have that, sir. Like I said, there's $22,700 in electrical, just electrical infrastructure alone that she has to do. And that's a tentative cost from Black Hills. I've actually seen the documentation for that. So I wouldn't have brought this to you and just without that. I mean, she's also gonna continue to move along there, and then as she goes along Spalding. So what we're trying to do is little by little, allow her to build up some, because we all know what's probably gonna happen when she gets along Spalding. You know, there's probably gonna be some roadway improvements she's probably gonna have to do. There's gonna be a sewer extension potentially that she's gonna do, and yes, if we do offer her economic incentives for that, that will be a part of the contract. I know that was brought up at one time. So there will be,
so you say you have those figures listed somewhere, is that in the contract?
no, I
Or the
mean,
agreement?
I can put that she has to do that in the contract. I didn't think that was a relevant thing to put into the contract,
I
but I
think-
have seen the documentation from Black Hills for that.
What I'm getting at is down the road,
Oh, down the road,
when
absolutely.
someone else says, hey, you sold this
Exactly.
land for $20,000, why can't I get the same deal? We need something documented saying, this is what it actually costs this person to have these 2 plots of land.
We will have that, we have that in CRM. We do have a CRM that is actual, something that will live past us. That is,
If I may, Marcus?
yes.
Apologies. Understanding what you're saying is that you want it documented so that way in future successions, anybody who's evaluating it knows what decision was going into making that, or what was going into that decision. I probably recommend just the resolution, showing that, hey, we approved this, and these were the considerations for which this agreement was approved. May not necessarily need to go into the contract itself, but at least the resolution.
As long as it's documented somewhere, so we can fall back on it. If we agree to something like this as a board, we just need to make sure that we dot our i's, cross our t's.
That way you don't show precedence and get caught in that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, you know, it's exciting to say this person's gonna dig two lots to build and then potentially buy 2 more and then 2 more on down the road. It's exciting to hear that. But on the same token, it's a double-edged sword, like Brian's pointing out, is that we sell it to them at $20,000 a lot. Everybody else is gonna expect that down the road. So, Chris,
10,000.
huh?
10,000 a lot.
Oh, 10,000
yeah.
a lot? So, what do you think's fair market value for each lot?
$21,405.87.
So we're not,
Yeah,
so we're not too far off.
Be specific.
Huh? For
I
one.
wrote down the numbers.
For one.
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I don't know the status of the electric on these. All I know is they're in the exact same, area, basically. They're all east of Purcell in this area here.
How long have they been listed? Did you get that info?
I don't have it written down, but, yeah, didn't even look at it. Just wanted to get price per acre and bring it.
No, it's good. I'm glad you did.
So the only issue that I see, I mean, it's not the only issue, but, so I know of a builder that's planning on building, reputable builders planning on building probably 6 to 8 homes in the next 8 weeks, or at least starting it. Are we creating unfair, they pay full price for their lots. Are we creating unfair practices for certain contractors? How much it costs them to get into their project shouldn't be a concern of us. If I was selling a piece of ground, how much it's gonna cost you to make your dream come true there is not really my concern. It's whether or not they think that they can make it happen. And when we're selling lots discounted that much, I think we need to think about whether or not we create an unfair playing field or an unfair advantage. That's why I advocate a group of those lots being put on an auction block
That's
and
what I was just gonna
invite
say.
everybody to bid on them. And you have a reserve. If nobody wants them, then you don't have to sell them. But when we're selling individuals lots below market value, and other companies have to make their projects work at market value, I'm not sure that's, the builder's reaping benefits of that. It's not necessarily getting passed on to the homeowner.
We have to classify the expenses that way. Basically, what you're saying is you're wanting to incentivize these lots. You want to make them cheaper because they have to put infrastructure in.
Correct, the
Electric,
marketability is there, I mean,
wastewater, et cetera.
right, we have to make it
Whereas-
marketable.
If a developer bought lots at full price where the water, the wastewater, the electric was already there, those costs have already been
Correct.
developed. They're already and that cost should then relate into the price of the lot, correct? I mean, that's just common sense. So, like I said, you're really trying to incentivize the sale of these lots, realizing that they're gonna have to develop them with that infrastructure at their expense. So, what I'm saying is this, we need to be able to document that.
Yes, sir, I can update the resolution, if you choose to actually put that documentation
And
in
then that
there.
would have to be, to Bill's point, that would have to be a practice that we pursue.
Maintain, yeah,
Mhm.
Consider it
for
done.
consistency.
That would have to be part of the policy for
Yes, sir.
economic development,
Consider it done.
if that's how we move forward. I understand your point of view too, and yours, to make it
The
open,
only
open
thing we don't know is that
competition.
of these lots, these range from 16,000 to 25,000 were the sales, and there were 7 of them. So, did any of those need power?
Mhm.
I don't know.
And they're septic, right? Or are these on sewer?
No, these will be sewer,
These would be sewer.
yes,
And they'll have to pay for that as well.
yes, they will have to pay the tap fees.
But any builder has to pay the tap.
Correct,
Any-
yes.
any-
At full price, you pay the tap.
Yeah.
fees. So, okay, well, what do you guys want to do?
Sounds like we need more info.
More info and come back with, what do you want?
I can, if you want, I can see if these ones had power, or, do something more detailed.
See if what was available on the lots you were looking at for comps? Yeah, that'd be fine. I'm okay with that.
Because I'm right there with you guys on this situation, the crystal ball things, what if the market drops out? Well, we're all in the same boat in that situation if the market drops out. Every builder can come and say the same thing, every purchaser can come and ask the same thing, what if the market drops out? Well, that's the
That's the
process
risk
of
we
doing
take.
business in certain situations. We don't know what's gonna happen. Again, the crystal ball thing comes into play. I would say relatively closer to fair market value or whatnot, but, I mean, it's 50% off, and it's like, I understand they have to develop certain things, but it's just like any business, they have to develop things as well. If they're gonna come to play, they gotta understand that there's costs in that. That's just my thought process.
I think that when people approach the Metro District directly, their expectation is to get a deal. I think that's what happens, as opposed to if a piece of property's on the market they're more likely to pay what someone's asking for it, as opposed to going directly to Metro District. That's my opinion of the,
Or if it's not
what
moving,
people
then they're
do in
gonna
the
offer
market.
what they think they can get for it. Right,
You can always counter, right?
yeah.
You
so-
can always say, we'll take this, we won't take that, we'll take this. More information.
Okay.
Just codify, it sounds like at least the resolution have language about what could be the precedent, so that way we can document that. And it sounded like at the next meeting, some details, if
I'll
you're able
bring
to
some.
provide it for what those comps were, and then returning back.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcos.
Thanks, Marcos.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We do.
Thanks, man.
Guys, grilling me on my
You too, Matt. I see you smirking back there.
He doesn't usually get raked over like Marcos. Okay, next we have the wastewater treatment plant presented by Kevin Love, the Deputy Director of Utility Operations.
Good evening, President Vickers, members of the board. At your last meeting, there were some questions and concerns about the wastewater treatment plant. I provided a document with some questions that I overheard, and I wanted to see if there was anything I could expand upon or give you some more details.
Let me pull up this PDF. Oh, let's see. You had, in the packet, do you have the presentation that you had in the
I
packet?
have the paper copy,
Oh,
the one that's.
we can't put, but you had more information in the,
Not on the wastewater treatment plant. We had some additional information for collections and distribution on equipment purchases, but, I believe
No, I
that's
saw-
after that.
Yeah, there's
I
three
saw something.
resolutions for requisition of equipment.
but
Those
we're-
Yeah,
those
that's
are
a.
two different items.
those two different items.
I know, yeah.
I could've
So
sworn-
my only comment on the wastewater treatment plant, by the way, great job on the identifying the questions that were asked and providing answers on that. Thank you very much. I would like to get that information out to the community, other than the board packet that's been presented to them.
Okay.
So if we could do an alert of some sort with a link to that PDF, that would be fantastic.
Sure, we can provide that information.
Because we did hear some questions out in the community about those conversations, so be good to share the information as well. Other than that, I have no comment.
Yeah, I think we could just get with Brandy tomorrow and say, hey, we talked about this last night, want to blast out there as far as a follow-up and can highlight it.
Okay, thank you.
Do we, have a status on that, what was it, one motor or one pump? That
So if you're
was
referring
all
to
European
the
parts or something?
aeration blowers, there are 4 on site that do for the basins. And so for that, you have 2 smaller and then you have 2 larger. Typically, it's a redundancy system. So with one being out, you still have access to another unit.
So what do we do if the other one goes out and we ain't got the other one up to speed yet?
So if you have one out on maintenance and your redundant goes out, then we call for an emergency PO and we try to get a vendor out as soon as possible. We also have the 2 smaller blowers that are available for use. They're not as efficient as the larger units, but
Well, I would like to see us be more proactive than reactive, wait until it goes out, and now we have to do an emergency requisition or something to facilitate the usage of that.
right, I believe what you're referring to when you were down there during your tour was that one blower was in maintenance, so it was being repaired. And then the other unit was online. So if the tragic event of one that was online being another one serviced were to occur, unfortunately, we wouldn't have that immediate reactive steps in place, but we would do the best we can with what we have available.
Was that the one you were talking about?
I believe he was referring to the digester blowers. It's a large square unit over in the biosolids building
Yeah, the
that has
biosolids
hard to
building.
find parts for since they're particularly old and European made. Hard for logistics to find that equipment, but
Right.
it was repaired.
Okay.
Okay. And then over in the main building?
The headworks, or are
Yes.
you referring to operations?
Where the office is and the lab is?
That would be the operations.
what was there, one pump or something like that?
That was the blower that you were referring to.
So that
yeah.
was the blower, okay.
Correct.
Okay, and so the one that had the European parts that were hard to get?
For the digesters,
For
yeah,
the digesters?
yeah.
Are we looking at an alternative retrofit?
So
If we can't get
in the
that?
future expansion, we would definitely look for something newer, more modern to replace those units.
How old are those units?
I'm not sure the exact age.
Okay.
Probably 20, getting close to 20
I would
years
say they're
old.
probably close to 20. Yeah, since the building was commissioned, I believe in 2013.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional comments?
No, I'd like to say thank you for bringing this to, giving us this information, and we can get it out to the public. You heard the comment earlier. I don't think it was that bad of a situation, but we're trying to figure this stuff out as new board members and so on and so forth. We're just trying to establish those grounds and make sure we're staying ahead of the game instead of getting behind the game.
Right.
And then all this other stuff that happened before, trying to mitigate that. So it's a yo-yo sometimes.
I gotcha.
Kevin, in the interim, is there anything that can be done to slow down the washout in what you call diurnal cycles? Is there anything that we can do to slow that down and release it more?
Well, there's a happy medium through that basin. We want to try to keep the flow effective. We don't want to make it stagnant where it's ineffective for the treatment process. So we don't really want to slow it down. We want to maintain a specific like speed, as it were, through the hydraulic loading. So that's what the operators do best. They maintain that speed. So the biological process is very effective in the nitrification, where it removes ammonia and the dissolved oxygen and things of that nature. So that's where they keep that speed going, like RPMs, right? We don't want to be on the red line all the time, but we don't want to be at idle either. So they find that happy medium spot.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next is collection and distributions equipment presented by Kevin Niles, the Director of Utilities.
Good evening, President Vickers, Board of Directors. The purpose of this presentation is to seek board approval for the acquisition of 3 critical pieces of capital improvement for the Collections and Distributions Department: a camera inspection van, a John Deere backhoe loader, and a Kubota skid steer. These purchases were included in the 2026 capital improvement plan and represent strategic reinvestment into core operational infrastructure necessary to maintain system integrity, reliability, and regulatory compliance. The Utilities Department is responsible for maintaining the health, reliability, and long-term sustainability of the district's water, wastewater infrastructure. Proactive inspection, preventative maintenance, and rapid response capabilities are essential to minimizing service disruptions, controlling long-term capital costs, and reducing operational risk. The equipment presented today directly supports these objectives. Each acquisition has been evaluated and is selected in accordance with the district's procurement policy, fleet policy, and established best practices. Required justifications, including sole source documentation where applicable, have been reviewed to ensure compliance and transparency. Importantly, all purchases fall within the parameters approved by the board in the adopted 2026 budget. First, the camera van. The district's current camera inspection van is more than 10 years old and has exceeded its useful service life. The specialized onboard equipment is now obsolete, making repairs increasingly difficult and replacement parts challenging to source. As a result, reliability has declined, limiting the department's ability to conduct proactive inspections of our collection system. This vehicle is primary diagnostic used to monitor pipeline conditions, identify inflow and infiltration, detect structural defects, and prioritize rehabilitation efforts. The 2026 CIP allocated $450,000 for this acquisition. The actual cost of the new camera van is $259,470.80, resulting in a favorable budget variance of $190,592.20. This variance reflects responsible procurement and strong fiscal stewardship while still delivering a full, capable, and modernized asset. Replacing this unit restores the district's ability to conduct systematic inspections, supports regulatory compliance, and reduces the risk of emergency failures that typically carry higher repair costs in the community. So with that being said, there's a resolution attached to approve the procurement of the camera van.
I have the resolution up. I got one question. In comparison to the current van that we have, are we able to scope more feet or yards of line?
Yeah, the camera van that we currently have, we're limping along. We use it for emergency basis only.
No, I'm talking about the distance that we can look in a pipe.
Yes, it'll,
Are we talking about it's gonna provide us a greater distance of observation inside the lines?
correct.
Okay, good. Do you know how many extra feet of that is?
I don't know the actual extra feet that it'll allow, but it is hundreds of feet that it will
Okay.
camera at a time.
All right. Anybody else got any more questions?
I do.
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, I've raised concerns earlier today about this, all three of these, because of the sole source sourcing. My concern is that purchases of this magnitude and this cost, in my opinion, should be let out for bid. And I'm not really thinking that the sole source justification, at least on this piece of equipment, is adequate. This equipment has local service available after the sale. This van is made in Commerce City. That's not local. If it has to be worked on, I'm sure somebody's gonna have to come from there, or we're gonna have to send it up there to be repaired. If they're the cheapest bid after it's bid, you know, that's fine, but I think we're doing it. I just am not comfortable. These three sales add up to almost $500,000, and I agree, or I see that there's savings in the budgeted amount, which leads me to another question: is why do we budget so much for that van? I just would like to see our sole source policy looked at, and you know, with the backhoe and with the skid steer loader, there are other local vendors that are local. So that's my concern, is that the amount of monies that we're talking about here exceeds what the state says you should put out for bid, except for the sole source exception, which I'm not quite sure is being utilized the best that we can here.
Good evening, President Vickers and board members. Michael Winters, Procurement Manager. The cooperative contracts, they have gone through a procurement process, just not through the district. So it's not that they haven't been put out for bid, they have been put out for bid, just not through the district, if that makes sense.
What does that mean?
So like
the retailer, is that what you're talking about? The retailer bids
yes,
the
like the
product?
state or a bigger government entity. And I could probably get the information. I don't have it right now. I could probably find out who originally did a solicitation.
Okay.
I just
So
don't
we're
have it right
piggybacking off of a state bid or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
This was based on a cooperative purchasing agreement?
Yeah.
Correct.
So, if another, whether state, local entity, sometimes Sourcewell is often used as a organization or program that then takes all these bids that others do, and you have the option to ride onto them as long as their procurement policies or procurement practices are leading to that competitive bid. Oftentimes in the sole source, it can be utilized to say, hey, this already has a essentially pre-approved contract or pre-approved design that allows you to be able to use it in the same way you would have gone out competitively bidding yourself. So it sounds like in the CPA, cooperative purchase agreement, that's
And this
how.
was a state?
I'd have to double check. I think Sourcewell, there's a lot of states, a lot of bigger governmental entities than like a municipal or a county. But I'd have to double check on specifically who bid it out.
I might want it to go through the procurement and bidding process locally also.
What was that?
Can we compare the two?
Generally, you do it just to save either time or resources, because at the end of the day, you're looking to go through a competitive bid process. As long as it obviously meets all those same requirements, then it has been done by somebody, and you don't have to go through that exact same process. The board, as it comes to this, because that high threshold, that high cost, it is coming to you to review all the things and decide, would you like to accept the justification or the cooperative purchasing agreement, or would you like not to, and then instruct to go through the competitive bidding process ourselves.
Speaking from previous experience with other municipalities, this is a standard practice of operation. Other states also, it's called buy board. It's another procurement type of entity that use, and they do the sole source. So this is standard practice within other municipalities.
My question would be why? What's the objection to bidding, to taking it to bid?
Well, as far as the camera van, that's an emergency basis. Again, we're down to not having one at all that's functional. So we're in a situation now that we need to have something within our grasp as soon as possible to maintain our system.
I can sympathize with you, but
So it is,
emergencies that require immediate action are not, they don't fit well with me. There should have been planning way down the road for this if this is this dire piece of equipment. I'm sorry, I just think that we can do better in the way we procure things.
from a process standpoint, I understand the cooperative purchasing agreement. I'd like to know if it's state or national, just for my own reference. My biggest question before I heard that was that, have we gotten our 3 quotes? Because we're still within our small purchase threshold, which requires quotes, not an IFB. But if we have the state bid or whatever, and we're piggybacking off of that, then I understand where you're coming from. Thank you.
So a couple of things I want to inject here is that, going through the governmental cooperative through Sourcewell, that is in compliance with procurement policy. We have also taken a look in situations, not necessarily with the camera van, but with the backhoe and the skid loaders, compliance with fleet policy for standardization. We've taken additional steps looking at sole source, not that we needed it because we were following the basic policy, but to take into account some special issues that we might take in consideration. For instance, geographical best practice or local, I don't want to call it local preference, but there are some advantages to having somebody a little more geographically close to us than others. Also uniquely qualified best practices. In the case of the camera van, staff came back and said that this particular brand was based, the brand that they looked at was based upon superior service, parts availability, as well as its user-friendly interface. And they were also impressed with the portability of this particular model. If I remember right, and maybe Mr. Love can clarify this is also a system that is used by the city of Pueblo?
Correct.
So there are different things that we look at in addition to compliance with the 2 main portions of our policies. We are also looking for these additional values as well. So I think we've kind of ticked the box on a lot of different things. On the backhoe, in particular the John Deere 410P, that is replacing another John Deere vehicle, another 410, and the reason we went with that is because of local service after the sale, and also because we do have some accessories that will marry up to that we will keep. Same thing with the Kubotas. There is a geographical local advantage to having them selected, as well as some accessories that we have already purchased that will marry up well with those. The other part on the Kubota skid loaders, I'm going to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, our then fleet manager had all of the companies come out. They brought up a Bobcat, a Kubota, a John Deere. Wagner did not bring one out because kind of figured we were just gonna test them out and maybe we'd select them, maybe we wouldn't. But we had the utility department, the parks department, and the streets and roads department try them all out. And they all kind of preferred based on the operational way it was set up, the Kubotas in that particular standpoint. So we do take a look at a lot of different factors. It is not haphazard, it is not random, it's not just knee-jerk reaction, this is what I want. We have to make sure that we are going through every step of the way to justify the purchase. So if you have any questions on the steps that we took there, I'd be happy to answer those.
No, I'm good. So Sourcewell is a national GPO or group purchasing organization. I deal with GPOs also myself, so.
The only thing I would add to the question might be when the original contract might have been negotiated, because if prices have changed within time, the only concern I would have in the potential of a local we redo it versus, hey, this is already a bidded contract, is if there's significant time that has passed between the two. It may only be a year, it may not be significant. There could be price variations where we would be worse off for not going through that. Not to say that we couldn't still do better or that there isn't that possibility, but that could be the alternative too.
Yeah, so the benefits of a GPO is you're bringing on board multiple buyers for the same or similar item, which ultimately should reduce the cost of that item.
Yeah, I'd like to see it proven.
I never saw it in my 34 years of government service. You look at GSA, I mean, they were getting toilet seats for $100. Other equipment and stuff that would cost you $5, $10, $15 are paying $200 or better. The thing, I guess the real test would be is if we were to call and ask for the same equipment as a private individual, would we get a lower price? Versus people going to an entity that's already pre-approved by the government, okay? And when I talk about the government, I'm talking about on the federal level for 34 years. And I've seen fraud, waste, and abuse on that level in every aspect of my career, whether it was in the Army or if it was with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So, in retrospect, looking at all the fraud, waste, and abuse that's being announced abroad and in the state of Colorado, okay, I think it'd be advantageous to take a second look at this and see what the fair market price is for a private citizen to get the same equipment. And it would marry up and retrofit the previous attachments that we have already purchased. I don't think that's asking too much to make sure that the taxpayers are getting a bang for their buck. What do you think?
Just to touch basis on the last fall in 2025, when we assessed that the camera van was near its end of life and then we started evaluating a new one, we did have some independent vendors come out and present their camera vans, and they estimated 450 during that time. This current one wasn't known to us at that time that it was available, or we would have budgeted less. However, we did check with 3 different vendors that build different vans, and this was it was the best for the workers. They enjoyed it, they liked the functionality, but it was the least expensive out of those 3 that came to our facility as a demonstration.
I'm not arguing that because, I mean, a sewer scope, I have 3 of them. But that's specialized equipment. You just can't go anywhere and get that, I understand that. But to get a John Deere backhoe or a Kubota, right? We've got plenty of resources here locally within probably 6 surrounding counties. Because I know Salida's got John Deere up there, and I think they got Kubota too. But it'd be very interesting to see what kind of price we would get as a private individual delivered to our front door. It would be cheaper and have the same warranty and guarantees that to test the process. Now, the camera van, that's a separate issue. That's a specialized piece of equipment. It's urgent, and sounds like it's urgent, and we need that. in order to get that. But I would almost guarantee that we could probably get the same John Deere and the same Kubota lower as a private citizen versus them looking at a government entity that's got government money because they're looking to line their pockets.
I'm a little confused as to how that would align with the procurement policy going out for something of this magnitude. It's over $100,000, approaching one vendor for that. I don't know that there's any allowance.
Yeah, I'm not
for
talking.
that.
I'm not talking about the van. I'm talking about the
Right.
John Deere tractor and the
Right.
Kubota skidster.
It-
If we were to put that out through our local procurement process, okay, it would be interesting to see what we would get.
Well, we would have to solicit under a Pueblo West solicitation, so.
Not as a private citizen.
Not as.
Just-
No, I
just
understand that.
But
But
we
nothing's
can't
keeping
do-
me from taking the same model of John Deere and calling around and say, hey, what's the best price you can give me? As long as it's got the same specs as the one that you have listed here, or on the Kubota. You see what I'm saying? It's just a phone call away. So, it would be interesting to test that and bring this back to the table and see what kind of quotes we could get. But I mean, we do have our own procurement policy. I'd like to see that procurement policy work on the local level, more so than on a grander scale. And we're possibly putting us at the mercy of higher prices.
Yeah, one thing you might not have noticed is, for instance, on the John Deere 410, that is coming from a local vendor. That is the Four Rivers vendor right here in Pueblo West. And just kind of coincidental.
Didn't they move?
Huh? No,
Yeah.
that's Backyard. So
Oh,
there's-
that's Backyard, that's
There's two different types of John Deere dealers, at least two. One that is construction equipment, that's the yellow equipment, and it's agricultural, it's green. So 21st Century or Backyard, they are they're off of Highway 50 West, and we do purchase agricultural equipment from them through the same Sourcewell process. But this particular piece of equipment is yellow equipment, it's construction equipment, and all of the John Deere dealers in the state of Colorado, the state of New Mexico, and western Texas is Four Rivers. That is the John Deere dealer for construction equipment.
So it sounds like they had you over a barrel, huh?
I mean, but
what we
here's the
don't
thing.
know, we don't know what we don't know. And all I'm saying is, competitive bidding might shed light on this, may say this Sourcewell is the best thing that ever happened since sliced bread. It may say, gee, this is not working out for us, but we don't know because we don't do it. So that's my only contention is we owe responsibility as the board, to the taxpayers. But it's up to the board to decide.
Do you mind if I just ask questions clarified to make sure I understood
Sure.
a little bit of it? Those, you said we had, was it 3 vendors that came out for the sewer?
Correct, we had 3 different vans come.
Vans, and that
give
was that,
demonstration.
was it the average cost that came to that $450,000 for budget, do you know, or is that the
So our
lowest?
first initial back in 2025, we budgeted the high because the prices for the 3 options varied slightly.
Gotcha.
And then with any kind of inflationary cost, we went to 450, thinking that 400 would probably be the key, but with inflation, potentially 5 to 10% is why we went 450.
Gotcha. Do you know if we still have that documentation from those 3?
I believe we still have the potential, I'll have to check.
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
My curiosity to the board would be seeing those 3 as the potential. It's not a true solicitation, it's not the true invitation for bid, but that is typically the quotes, getting at least 3 vendors for it. And if that
Right.
shows a pretty large difference between the Sourcewell, would that satisfy at least that idea that, hey, here's the difference we were working with and why we might be recommending Sourcewell? Whether the board continues to choose Sourcewell or if it goes the route of independently us doing it, then maybe that allows for a little bit of
I think the sole
Context.
source document is not valid because you are going through a GPO. It's already bid on a national level, and that's all you really need to say. As far as everyone else's comments about price, I think you need to go through the itemized list of what's included And then once you do that and take that to other vendors, if you can get a better price, then so be it. But according to the invoice cost, the sticker cost, if you will, it's $270,000 with all the add-ons.
Right.
And we're buying it for $166,900. 166,952.06, right? That includes the warranty. So, you know, we can buy used for a cheaper price. I don't know if you're gonna get all the bells and whistles that one's coming with, but,
Yeah,
I-
and we use the government cooperative as the basis for adhering to procurement policy. We went through the additional efforts of taking a look at it from a sole source standpoint. Is it advantageous to purchase it from this vendor or this vendor? Is it uniquely qualified to do the work, those types of things. So we did those in addition to simply using the government cooperative.
Let me just ask this question, what is the adverse, why do we not want to do the 3 bids? As we do for any other project, what's the reason we don't wanna do that?
Well, under procurement policy, you wouldn't be able to just go out and get 3 bids, you'd have to solicit, which means we'd have to post it.
Well,
Am I correct?
I know there's a process, but
that's not entirely true. If it's under the small purchase threshold, if it's under 250,000, all you need is 3 quotes.
Our small purchase is
100.
100,000. That's
Our-
why we're coming. to the
Colorado is
board.
250.
We have
Just
our-
increased that.
Yes, but we have ours that
Oh,
require
okay.
us to go through
All right.
that process.
Local is more stringent. Yeah,
Yes.
gotcha.
all I'm saying, I'm not disputing whether or not this is a good ban, or, all I know is that we don't know based on any other criteria other than we've been told this is a good deal.
Would more information on how it was originally nationally bid out be beneficial to see, so you could see I don't know how much information I could see, but I know there's more documents for how whoever, the state of Colorado, whoever put it out for everybody. Will that be beneficial?
I was gonna say, I think I understand, you're asking, regardless of where we have this right now, what's the harm in going out and getting more data, more information to be able to evaluate against?
You'd still come to the same conclusion.
I think it would probably be the same concern of whether it's Fire Station 1's project, the indoor pool, just the time. Essentially time and staff and resources doing that effort for it. That's your difference.
You know, I told you, I don't think we should replace diligence with expediency.
It's not about expediency, it's just about essentially preserving time.
That's expediency.
Not quite the same, but
Sure it is.
it's not about doing it fast, it's about, do you need to do extra unnecessary steps to get to the same result potentially, if you feel you have met all your requirements. It's not because they have done, as they've just demonstrated, they have done the due diligence and followed our procurement policy for it.
What's the board wanna do?
Well, I know they wanted to make all 3 of these an action item tonight.
This one's an emergency, right?
I would
camera
say
van.
the camera van is the most prudent piece of equipment that we need to purchase, yes.
And that's what, at about 180,000 under budget?
Correct.
The only thing I would say is, before it gets to emergency level, maybe start this process sooner. You know,
And that's the other thing to keep in mind is, you know, if we pull a PO tomorrow, that doesn't mean you're getting a piece of equipment tomorrow. It could be 3 months, 6 months, 8 months down the line, because a lot of these things might not be just sitting out on the lot.
As of right now on this camera van, we're told it'll probably be June.
That's one of the things I've noticed around here. It seems like we're always trying to play catch up to things that probably should have been presented a while ago. Now, if it was, I wasn't here. I don't know. But it just seems like we're always trying to play catch up to things that are, and then now all of a sudden we're playing emergency instead of, hey, let's present it to the board and get this going because these are the issues that we're confronting right now. I don't know, it just seems like we're always playing catch up. And you guys have.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna answer,
Oh.
but go ahead.
I just, think that we need to be a little bit more proactive and present things and say, hey, here's, I know we try to do the budget every year. We do the budget, we put the stuff in the budget, but then we come up and we're seeing numbers that seem like they should be a little less maybe, or something that should be a little bit more. Now, this one is a pretty good, I think the price of this, you guys did well with, finding a good priced van with this situation. But how long ago was it that we realized we needed a van? That's the question I have. How long ago was it? Before the, end of the year budget, prior to, looking forward? I understand we got a yearly annual budget that we work with, but sometimes it's better to say, you know, start working on it a couple of years in advance instead of, you know, right when it's detrimental and we need it.
And I can appreciate that, and again, I can't speak to what happened as far as the camera van is concerned. However, it was brought to the board under the budget, and as soon as that budget was approved and I became on board in December, that's the first thing I said that we needed to do, was to procure an adequate camera van, because right now we're not in a position to where we can do adequate CCTV of our wastewater system. So that was my decision, to say that's an immediate need and that needs to be done immediately. Out of all the things that were approved on the budget, the backhoe, everything else, yes, those can wait. We can go through the process of bidding, but as far as the cameraman was concerned, I'm the one that pulled the trigger and said it needed to be done immediately.
I appreciate that. Let me clarify something really quick. That's what we're here to do also, is to start doing stuff more proactively than reactively. And I know that takes a process, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight. And the public needs to be, you know, patient as well. We're a whole new board here. You've got I'm not trying to upstage us or anything. We're learning process, and we've got new staff, we got new members, we got people who are seeing things, and I can see that moving, and I appreciate that, but I just wanna get to the point where we're not being reactive, we're being proactive, and coming to the board, and people know that they can come to the board with situations without, you know, fear of repercussions or whatever that is, you know. So I really appreciate your work on this and the due diligence you've done, and noticing that right away as you stepped into the plate. Thank you for that.
I know when I look at things, I would like to take things at face value, but I'm gonna piggyback off of Director Axworthy's comments back in December. Look at our federal government and the debt that it's carrying in the trillions. Now, that's kind of scary. We're not in that position like Pueblo County is, and we ought to be thankful. But at the same time, that doesn't mean we just take things at face value and rubber stamp it and send it on its way. It's our job to challenge and question every aspect of every proposal and every purchase. And it may seem like we're nitpicking, but we're doing it for the taxpayers. You wanna know why? Because they're the ones that get up every morning, drive through the snow, go to work, pay everybody's salaries here, to include the elected officials here. Okay? And I think on average, my salary check's somewhere between $70 to $80 a month. Okay? So, with that being said, if I'm willing to take $80 and put in the vested time to do right by the citizens of Pueblo West who support y'all's salaries, then we need to take our procurement process and utilize it as much as possible. If that means we have to test another procurement process so we can see what the difference is, so be it. But this reactive, everything's an emergency thing, I can't do it all the time. I think just looking at the numbers, and it's $180,000 under budget. Did we over budget? I don't know. I never bought a camera van. Okay? But that's y'all's levels of expertise. And we are supposed to trust you to come to us with solid facts, solid numbers, right? That's gonna benefit the taxpayers. Not appease the board, not appease the employees, appease the taxpayers. Because it's every hour that they work that's contributing to y'all's checks. Okay? So, I'm not gonna rubber stamp stuff. I will be asking those tough questions. They may seem stupid because that's your level of expertise. Every one of us brings something different to this board because we all have a background and a work history and a work ethic. And I don't wanna see Pueblo West looking like Pueblo County. So,
So Greg, can I?
let me finish what I was saying, Brian.
Okay, all right.
So with that in mind, just keep it in perspective that we're having robust conversation here in the eyes of the community, but it's conversation that needs to happen. It's not arguing amongst each other, it's fact-finding and fact-checking. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to purchase the camera inspection van for $259,470.80, given that that's an emergency, and we still won't have it until June.
Second.
I have a motion to go ahead and purchase the camera inspection van. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Nay.
Passes. Okay.
Did you vote?
Aye, sorry.
Then we'll go to the backhoe next.
Just to
It
clarify,
sounds-
that 3 ayes and 2 nays?
I would say.
Do you want a roll call vote?
Would you like to do a roll call vote? Or would you like me to list who I got down for the ayes and the nays?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have Director Pasternak, Director Potter, and Vice President Axworthy as yeas. And then for the nays, I have Director Roberts and President Vickers.
That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Bree.
So it sounds like the other two pieces of equipment are not an emergency, is that correct?
No, I would not classify them as an emergency.
So I think to appease the board, you may want to go ahead and solicit it, just to see where we're at. If the GPO price comes in better, then we know.
Yeah.
This is another learning opportunity for the board. Let's look at it that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Appointment of
We'll see.
Mr. Brian Egging to the Desert Hawk Golf Course Board.
Just on John Deere's website, this 410 P-tier backhoe is listed at $205,000. And our price was $166,000. That was
And that's without all the extras.
that's just, I just typed in 410 P-tier backhoe, took me to John Deere.
Yeah.
I assume it's basic, 205, 418. That's all I did.
Yeah, I did the same thing you just did too. And then I looked at the backhoe specs for what's in the actual proposal or quote. And it shows all of the additions that are being added to the base backhoe loader, which brought it up to $270,000.
Yeah, the second page has,
Yeah.
yeah, all that stuff, I got you.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, if it's a good learning opportunity for everybody, I'm familiar with contracts and such for purchasing, so I think it's good for everybody to learn. Okay.
So I'm up next for the appointment.
Desert Hawk?
Yes. So good evening, board. Christian J. Hine, District Manager. Today I have something for you to discuss about, and hopefully, if requested, could be moved to action and approved tonight. And that is a appointment of Mr. Brian Egging to the board, the Desert Hawk Golf Course Management Board, in place of Vice President Axworthy. This was discussed at a previous meeting where we were identifying it may be valuable to have staff over a period of time start taking positions on that golf course management board. That would allow a little bit of feedback and follow through when it came to certain things expected of whether the board members or based on the staff experience, whether it's finance, in operations, something to that effect that could help them progress. I think at the time we discussed that being a little bit planned over a period of time, knowing that we had a new Desert Hawk golf course manager coming on board. But it did come up at this last meeting that especially understanding that this could be done over the course of the next year, having us appoint somebody, then potentially asking Pueblo County to do the exact same as we move through, so that way we're not in that limbo where the golf course board being comprised of elected officials on both sides with one joint public appointee, then doesn't have the staff capabilities within themselves to follow up on certain things. So that was the tenor of that conversation. This previous golf course board meeting we had, I believe, the 18th, it came up potentially doing this appointment sooner. I think I understand Mr. Axworthy might not be there for this one.
Right.
So it would be valuable that way we would have a full staff if we could do that appointment tonight. But no reason to necessarily do it otherwise. It could wait, but I wanted to bring it to the board's attention and recommend it. And if they would feel comfortable approving it, this would essentially complete Axworthy's term until, I believe, the end of 2028, which is favorable because his elected term is not going to make it to 2028, but the golf course terms are 3 years from when he was appointed. So bring it to the board for discussion tonight.
Okay, so this was discussed after I left?
No, I'm sorry. We didn't discuss this during the golf course management board. We, as a collective, discussed it during one of our board meetings, I think in January, excuse me, in the strategic discussion portion of it. It came up during that golf course board, just before it, not discussed amongst the board, that maybe we do this sooner.
Is it on, I don't think it's on the golf course agenda.
It's not a
No.
golf course item, it's,
So-
it's us.
Just
The
us.
Yes, the Pueblo West has 3 appointees, Pueblo County has 3 appointees, they share one joint appointee. This is us, or you all as a board, deciding we're gonna appoint this person at this time. So the golf course management board has
Now,
no
is this-
say.
Is this just interim in your absence, Brian?
No.
No.
So,
Full-time, right?
Full-time.
yeah, so I'll give you the reason
So-
why I wanted to join to begin with. I saw the frustration in Bill and Joe when he was on the board. And I heard all about, not getting financials and asking for them over and over and over again and not getting anything done. And that's why I opted to be a third board member, to be on that Desert Hawk board. I think we're moving, we're progressing in a good direction at this point. I think if Brian were to replace me, he would do the same. He would enforce that we continue to move forward. I have confidence in that, so I'm okay stepping down. It's not that I don't want to do it or whatnot, but I did also, I read, I hate to say it, but I read Mr. Bayer's email regarding the Desert Hawk Golf Board, and it actually made sense. Why do we have so many elected officials on the golf board, and what is the purpose for that? So that was another reason I contemplated and actually brought it up to Christian about maybe we should do this sooner. That was the reasoning behind it. It doesn't really matter to me other way.
I don't have an issue with it. Brian has been attending the meetings, and
Yeah, he's been a regular there.
he's up to speed on what's happening. I think it'd be a good alternative.
All right. Just a note, according to your committee diagram, my name's not on the golf course committee, but I've been at every meeting, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution appointing Brian Egging to the Desert Hawk Golf Course Management Board and replacing Vice President Axworthy.
I second that motion.
I have a motion seconded to appoint Brian Egging to the Enterprise Golf Course Board, replacing Director Axworthy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I know he's very excited.
So, you're not.
I'm sure he is.
You're not gonna be there.
He left. Oh, there he is.
So would that be effective this coming Wednesday? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I made it effective tomorrow, so he'll be officially.
All right.
official Next meeting.
Next thing is, did you see?
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh,
He
okay.
asked if it was effective for the next meeting, and it is.
Consent action items, does anybody have anything they wanna remove out of that?
I have
Questions?
questions on, I think one of them. I just gotta click into all of them. Sorry.
I think if you just want to ask a quick question and we can answer it, maybe we could do that without removing it. But if it's going to be a dialogue or discussion, then a vote to, or you could just ask to remove it. You don't have to vote. So depending on the depth of your question.
Just on this is item, updating the water rights dedication. item I2. In the green, can you go to the flow chart, Bree? What is the I guess the enforcement and the consequences of if a duplex goes over, as an example? Trying to remember where it is.
I thought they were excluded.
Was it twice the rate?
When I was reading it, residential duplex and tripleplex was excluded. Am I correct?
They did do that.
Or it was just commercial?
I understand. You want to explain it real quick?
Sure. Elissa Vasquez, Water Resource Manager, and Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Edward, Deputy Director of Utilities Administration.
So the question was, what's the consequence for a duplex that goes over?
Yeah.
So if you can go to the PowerPoint, there is actually a slide that says exactly what the price will be for a duplex that goes over. If they go over within, or on the first year, it will be this right here, 2 times the duplex rate, which is, originally it's $11.56, 2 times that will be $23.12, which is pretty significant. And then if they continue to go over that from years 2 and on, if you can move one slide down for me, that is the 4 times fee for a duplex per 1,000 gallons. We also put in the rules and regs that repeated violations may be subject to punitive action by board of directors, so we can bring interesting situations to you guys that aren't falling into a regulation that we've already set forward.
And then to Director Roberts' point, wasn't there something removing, you guys changed something from
Yes.
last time?
Yes, we did. We removed the requirement for duplex and triplex to submit a water usage report because there was a concern of the board of the cost of that would add to
Yeah.
the development.
Okay.
So it's no longer, they're no longer required to submit a usage report. As long, they're still required to stay within their dedication, they're just no longer required to submit a report that has to be approved, which is something they would have to get through engineer.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I jotted down a question, but I don't even understand
That's fine.
what it is, so, sorry. Let me see if I have anything else in here.
Since I have you up here, Jeff, I want to apologize from the last meeting. I misquoted the state mandated amounts. It was part of a robust conversation between yourself and President Vickers, where you guys were adding up how much we have for the 2026 budget and how much we're projected to bring in, and it came to like $41 million.
Sure,
Yeah,
I personally
so-
throw out a lot of numbers, so.
We go over a lot of numbers, but I just want a person to correct that,
Thank you.
okay? So I was misquoted.
All right, back to the consent agenda.
My only other question was on, not on this one, for you guys, on item I3, the 2 COA ones, I3 and I assume I4. Item I3 and I4, so on I3 specifically, this is on the solar. So what happens if someone has an unapproved solar system? What happens if someone has an unapproved solar system? What's the,
Penalty?
yeah, what's the enforcement? What's the penalty? What does that look like?
Okay, Sean Winters, Director of Operational Support. So on the solar, all we're really doing here is treating solar ground units exactly like any other accessory structure. And that's really what's going on with this resolution. And it would be handled as an unapproved structure, and they would have to follow through, staff would follow through our due process that was recently reapproved.
So the ones that are currently existing though, they were labeled as, I think the verbiage was unapproved. So what does that mean? Somewhere in here I was reading that you guys label them as unapproved solar systems, and I assume there are numerous. What does that actually mean, and what do you do with those ones, since they're unapproved, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
We're just calling them unapproved and leaving them as unapproved, or?
Unapproved,
Is there-
if they've been down for very long, more than a year, there's not a lot that the district can do about those. It's increasingly difficult as time goes on to hold them accountable if we were to litigate. The ones that we do want to try to catch are the ones that are going up more immediately, making sure they get installed where they're supposed to be installed in accordance with our standards. And in the event that somebody installs without an application, then we would go through and write that up as a violation.
So what's the threshold? Because there's no one really, to my knowledge, COA, or not COA, I was gonna say code enforcement, but the covenant enforcement can't drive around and just call out stuff on their own. They require someone to submit the complaint. So what's the time frame of once the solar's installed to when someone can file the complaint, and when is it too late? Is it a year, or?
We're gonna probably target a year because of the difficulty from a litigation standpoint to pursue it beyond that.
Okay.
And in addition to that, right now, we are focusing on community complaints as opposed to driving around and finding them. That's not something that we're doing right now. We have enough concerns coming in from the community that we want to address. I've not had too many, I can't remember that there've been any issues in regards to solar units being installed without permit. I know that there's probably some of them out there, but at this point, I'm not aware of any.
And then reading,
We have one now.
okay,
as
and
it
then
turns
reading through the storage container, the Connex.
Yep.
It seemed to me like those sort of fell under the same, like an accessory dwelling unit, or not an accessory
Yeah.
dwelling unit, but a
For
accessory
structure.
Yeah,
structure.
we're just gonna treat those like another accessory structure.
And they needed to
Um,
be like dolled up like the house or something, it seemed like.
Yeah, we eliminated the requirement to put a pitched roof on it, because a lot of times the committee members could not agree as to what pitch roof looks good. We had one occasion where the applicant was so unsure, he brought in like 5 different options, and nobody liked any of them. And they finally agreed on one of them, but as I was looking through the covenants, I didn't see anywhere in there where it specified that we could tell somebody what kind of pitched roof we could have, or if it could be a flat top roof. For instance, our building right here is flat top. Nobody has an issue with it. 63 Spalding, also a flat top roof. Nobody had a problem with it. So we removed the roof requirement from that and just treated it like another accessory structure, another shed. The only thing that we do have in here is we want to ensure that they understand that we expect for it to be newly painted. We don't want Mayflower still painted on the side of it. We want it painted, preferably a matching color or a contrasting color that matches the house, although we don't have a color restriction, it's more of a request. But that's basically what we see on that particular resolution.
Okay, so then the same rule would apply within a year, basically? of
Yeah.
Someone dropping it or whatever?
It's just gonna be like any other accessory structure, it's nothing really special about it.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Okay, so, need a motion for the consent action items.
Make a motion to approve the consent action items.
Second.
I have a motion seconded motion and second to approve the consent action items. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moves us on to public comments.
Good evening, Board of Directors. I do have one. Let me pull it up. It was sent during this meeting. Okay. Okay. Good evening, Board of Directors. Christine Evans. We need more restaurants, more businesses for jobs, more choices and more revenue. What is the problem with growing Pueblo West with more businesses? We are just about filled up with homes. Can Mr. Reyes tell us if KRF out of Denver know what businesses they want to build on that land, KRF? Also, in the Metro District, in the business to bring in money for the sale of property, or is the Metro District just giving away Metro property to a person they like? $20,000 for 2 lots in a Pueblo West is solo, Westover Homes. Thank you, Christine Evans. And then we do have Mr. Joe Mahaney that has signed up that would like to make a public comment as well.
Marco, did you want to respond to the public comments?
At this time, we have no knowledge of what KRF will be placing in, so I
Okay.
can reach out.
We won't know anyway.
All right, thank you.
Joe Mahaney, 159 West Mangrum Court, Pueblo West. I noticed that in our agenda, we've eliminated a line early on that had to do with a blanket approval of the consent agenda. And at that time, previous years, nobody kind of knew what that was, but it was just always boilerplate stamped. Yes, we approve it. I noticed one of the early comments from one of the citizens about the directors taking a more active role in running the district. My interpretation when I was on the board of that consent agenda was the board was doing a formal action approving everything that the district manager and all the staff had done for the previous month. And it, in the fine print on the agenda, it said any board member could remove anything from the consent agenda and discuss it in the board meeting. Was rarely done. The 3 years I was on the board, it was only done one time, and that was when I did it. And our counselor and I got into a disagreement on what the consent agenda actually meant. And but at any rate, now we've gone to this, move it toward the end of the meeting and just have a kind of a rubber stamp of a few items, but it doesn't address anything else that the board approves that the district manager and staff have done. When I was on the board, I asked to have a cash flow report sent to me once a week of everything that the board did, every expenditure. And it was kind of interesting. We were spending, anywhere from $250,000 to $750,000 a week on miscellaneous items, Visa, MasterCard charges, and all kinds of things. And it was kind of an opportunity for the board to understand what was going on. I wonder, is anybody on the board looking at those now, or are we just assuming that?
I look at them.
Okay. AP payments, we get them every week.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't find anything in there that you question or want further, like, I always made the statement, still agree with it, it's not as bad as it was, but we're still using the utility department as a cash cow. And if you want to get into what a cash cow is, it's when you have one thing that you can charge things to from another department. And a lot of that was going on, and in defense of our utility people that got up here today and said they were told they should be a little more proactive in assuming that
the things that they need, that they come up with knowing them ahead of time. The backhoe, the truck, the scope truck, or whatever you want to call it, the skid steer loader and whatnot. Traditionally, that sort of thing was put into the budget, and then they kicked it down the road, and they said, oh, we need that money for something else, so we'll transfer it. That's what cash cow is all about. So you need to look at that real close and make sure that you understand what the staff people have been abused to do in the past. They come up with things that they think is going to happen, and then the board says, no, that's not important enough. Probably the worst abuse of that is the storage tanks up on the north end. We had one that was completely a bust. It was a sanitary nightmare. But they decided, no, we can fix that 2 or 3 years later, because the money that we appropriated for that, the roof on the water treatment plant was another one. They kept kicking that down the road. That was the board that was doing that. Now, if you guys, hopefully you're gonna be proactive and start doing things in a business-like manner, a little more reasonable, then when somebody comes to you with these things, they're only doing what they should have been doing proactively, only they expect it should have been done 2 years ago, but for some reason that was kicked down the road. No, we need that money that we allocated in the budget for some other project that would make somebody happy. So, you know, be careful of what you do. But to have somebody say, well, the board has to make all the decisions, just look at the turmoil that you've gone through tonight. You couldn't agree on anything, and selling those lots, kick the can down the road. We want more information. We want to do this and that. Why not just say, come back with another offer? Or we decide we'll accept a counter offer of $18,000 a lot or something like that. But do something, you know, with that great salary that you get every month, $80, earn it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. I just want to respond to one of Joe's comments, is looking at those accounting summaries. What I look at is I look for consistencies, I look for inconsistencies, and then patterns in the inconsistencies. Okay, so that's what catches my eye when I'm looking at those statements. Okay, so there's a couple areas that I'm looking at. I'm not going to disclose those areas until I do a little bit more fact finding, but it's being scrutinized, Joe. Okay, at least by me. But I want to see what the inconsistencies are about and why those inconsistencies are there and why it's developing a pattern. If that makes any sense, Joe. Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Bree?
No, sir, that's the rest of the comments.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to board member and district manager closing comments. And we'll start with Mr. Pasternak.
Yeah, so on the economic stuff, I too would like additional restaurants and such. I would prefer primary jobs, maybe 100 engineers to come in and make $100K as opposed to some people at a grocery store making minimum wage. Secondly, as an example, a restaurant, I'm attempting to get information for In-N-Out Burger because they were interested in the city of Pueblo. Something happened with that. I think that we have a great spot for them. So I'm not against restaurants. That's just not something that I'm placing a high priority on. And yes, I also look at the those receipts. At one point, I mentioned to Karen there was a, something that looked out of whack with, I can't remember it, but it was a utility bill ran under the pool, and the pool was shut down, and they looked into it, and there was a leak. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Potter?
There was a mention about getting into the weeds. I think that was may have been taken out of context. I'll have to go back and look at that. But it might have been me. I don't know. It was and I thought last meeting was fairly decent meeting, all things considered. We're gonna have issues. We're gonna have little things that go on, but that's to be expected. Some of us disagree with things on certain issues, and we work through them, and we do the best we can to come to the best conclusion we can. I don't think we kicked the can down the road with the property. We wanted more information, and we're diligently working through the process of what the best information is. And I get you, be point straight forward, do a counteroffer, but we want to do our best to be fair to the entire public, and that's why I said maybe we look at a counteroffer. However, with the kids into the weeds, I was more specifically talking to how our district manager runs their staff. I don't want to be getting into the weeds on how the district manager runs their staff. I look at it in a military perspective. You have a battalion commander, you have a company commander, and then you have the company commander, and you have the lieutenant. And they run their stuff prospectively without the battalion commander getting into the weeds of how he operates unless there's questions that need to be asked. And we've done that. I think we have. And that's what we're doing. We're learning. Some of us are still new to this process. I know we've been on it almost a year, at 2 days a month. So, plus we also have our outside duties. I was just talking to Christopher earlier. It's like, man, I feel like I'm all over the place, because when I was in the military, I was on it. But I was working at every single day. That was my job. That was my duty. That was my responsibilities. I knew where I stood. I knew where everybody else stood. This is a little different beast. And when you're sitting in the seat, it makes a little bit of a difference. Not that that's an excuse, but we are working on trying to make things better in this community. I can say that for myself for sure. And also, I would like more participation with public coming in and talking to us and discussing items. We've had open forums several times. And like I said, the most that have showed up is 5 people, 12 if you count my family.
That's right.
Was that May the 27th? Swear in?
It was, yeah, right. No, I'm just saying, we have these opportunities to have these discussions, and I would just I encourage the public to be more participating. We may not have all the answers to everything, but again, we're trying to do the best we can with the environment that's given to us. And I think the weeds situation was pointing to Christopher's managing the staff. If there's anything that we have questions about, we do ask him. That's all I got.
Mr. Roberts?
On the next agenda, are we going to be continuing discussion about official office hours and job positions?
I don't know about the last part about job positions, unless you meant they're flexible, the remote work. But yes, I sent the email Saturday morning indicating that we're going to have that on the next agenda for the official hours and the remote
So that is
work.
going to be on the next agenda?
Yes, that's why I sent the email.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I know that whole subject opened up a can of worms.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we want to make sure just to share, we did want to be able to bring it as soon as possible, but there is going to be an evaluation of what that looks like long-term in the program, because then we get exempt laws and the status of that. So we just want to make sure we do the due diligence.
okay. Thank you.
I don't have any.
None for me.
All right. Committee reports. First quarter committee assignment updates. Would that be Bree?
Good evening, Board of Directors. So with the way that I put this up on the last meeting. There was a little bit of confusion. So what I did is I highlighted the items that are needed to be reported on between meetings. And I'm hoping this helps. So the first one up is the COA committee meeting. That would be President Vickers. That happened on February 12th.
Oh, you want me to give an update on the?
Sure, please.
I was there, right? I'm sorry. I've had so many meetings and they've all run together and I left my notebook at home. Donna, could you help me out, please? As to how many houses we had go through? 4? We had 4 new homes. Thank you.
On the spot.
She's always on the spot.
Not really.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Sure. Well, I guess I have to say, Donna Wimp, Covenant Specialist. We had 4 single-family homes. We had 8 variances. Some of them were continued, but process is going through. We had 6 accessory structures. That included fences, and 5 consent agenda items, which is roof mount solar, or things where they had been previously approved and he moved his storage unit 10 feet but still met the requirements. Does that work?
It was pretty simple, pretty straightforward meeting, so I don't remember any hiccups. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next committee report, and I just wanted to follow up, Director Roberts, about you not being on there. It's because when we voted at the beginning of our committee assignments, it wasn't voted for you to be on there. You had filled in for Director Vickers when he was on vacation once. And so now that you're there all the time, I can add you in if you'd like me to, but it's not your regular assigned committee to be in attendance for. Because you had went in place of President Vickers when he missed one meeting, so you filled in a spot. But we just had you 2
I
assigned.
took over for Joe.
I had you 2 on there, and then we didn't have a third yet. So that was all I had in there as far as when I went back to the meeting and looked at who we assigned and what was voted upon. That's what I had, but I will get you added on there and get that smoothed out as far as committee assignments.
My seat was originally a community member.
Yeah, that's what I have.
I don't recall specifically what ended up happening, but I do know that this is what predicated the issues with all the emails that were going out, of whether there was Director Roberts, yourself, and how they were missing it. So I don't recall exactly what happened, but something caused a little bit of that. But you're right, it should have been at some point 3 board members, 3 on both sides, county commissioners, and our board of directors. So.
But I'll get that fixed for you and updated.
I recall that came about because of the 3 county because there only used to be 2 county commissioners on that.
Yeah,
and then it moved to 3, and then we decided that we would want 3 board members on there. But
when this board went back out to evaluate their appointee and the joint appointee, I think is when that changed and Director Axworthy at the time got put on there.
That was again to balance the vote and move things forward.
Yeah.
Because we weren't seeing any
Did
action.
we adjust those positions on the bylaws?
So there'll be no adjustments on.
You had them listed by terms?
So the golf course board is part of the IGA, and it has its terms for it. I don't think there's an association with, I think what you're talking about as far as the golf course bylaws? Yes, we did identify what those should be, and we should fall in a sequence. We're probably gonna have to go back and actually do documentation.
Right.
Because as we went back to figure out when I was signing Brian Egging up, I found that there wasn't quite the documentation showing it when we started appointing our own board members, showing their terms. So that's probably part of the process.
That's what I was talking about.
Gotcha. No, that's fair. I appreciate that.
Yeah, now that I'm
Anyway.
the secretary.
Do you want to give the update?
Yeah.
Yeah, but with
So
that
we're-
comes an update.
so as
Thank
far as-
you.
As far as the update goes, we're trying to finalize the contract and hire on the golf course manager, which needs to really be in place March 1st. So, so we have a special meeting on Wednesday, which I will no longer be attending because Brian is attending. Thank you very much. And hopefully we can move forward. We did get a counteroffer on the contract that we approved at that meeting to reduce the rent for the first year and then analyze what the profits are on the golf course manager's contract, and then increase the rent if we see fit. I think that was pretty much the consensus of that sidebar meeting. But yeah, that's where we're at. So meeting on Wednesday, hopefully we can solidify that.
And then last we have Director Pasternak with the PEDCO board meeting.
Yep, so, they're still working on their big one, which is Project Falcon, which is 250 jobs. Talked about membership, they might add a, new low entry-level tier to their membership, which would be $100 a year. They, one more thing. They have, I will say, expressed interest in helping Pueblo West. And we're exploring what that could look like. That's it. That's it, sorry.
Good. I don't see it on here, but I would like to give just a short blurb on the pool committee meeting. Is that all right? We had one, Thursday? February 19th. And it's promising, we're moving along with the design. They had some, maybe in the future, we can try to incorporate some of
The elevations.
the elevations and stuff in the.
Yeah, that's what I asked for last time.
They're moving, coming along with the elevation design. We pretty much have the floor plan the way the committee would like to present it. Yeah, it's looking promising. We had some discussions about traffic and location, and I think we've pretty much got that worked out, so it'll fall into the county's arena for the traffic, but I think we had some pretty good ideas and some pretty good solutions to some maybe humps. So I think it's moving well.
So the only other thing, Pueblo West Chamber of Commerce had a board retreat on Saturday. Not everything was finished, so we're gonna have another meeting March 3rd. Mhm.
I do want to bring one thing up about the Desert Hawk Golf Course Committee meeting. I think it was 2 meetings back. We almost adjourned and we forgot the public comments, and we had 2 ladies. I think Ms. Hightower from the Chamber of Commerce, which is, the 2 ladies brought it up as a discussion point that when it comes to the green fees and the golf course rentals, for those who don't live in Pueblo County, assessing them a out-of-county fee, which would be different than what our residents would pay in Pueblo West or in Pueblo County. And it was a good suggestion. It just shows that the board members or committee members alone can't think outside the box enough to come up with the ideas sometimes. And we need our community to speak up and give us more ideas. Because we don't know it all. We can't think up everything that's gonna point us in the right direction to bring in extra revenue without taxing somebody. And I'm not gonna tax nobody. But it gave me the same idea and concept when we have a finished aquatic center. If we have people coming down here and they want to use our aquatic center and they don't live in Pueblo West, then they could pay a non-resident entry fee or a membership fee for the year or whatever, because they might live in Midland or they might live in Fountain, wherever they live, or in Penrose, okay, or Canyon City, since they're not going forward with a swim pool. But needless to say, it was a great idea. I talked to the ladies for about 20 minutes after the meeting, and we just need more ideas like that from our community. We need more interaction, like Director Potter stated earlier, coming to these meetings and making suggestions, giving us ideas. We're all busy. I mean, some of us are in full-time jobs, some of us are in retirement and have a full-time job going to meetings. So, we can't think of everything. And some of these board packets are under 250 pages, and then you got a lot of them that are over 250 pages, go up to 605 pages, like about a month and a half back. And it's a lot to digest. And we're doing all that in our free time, okay? And then we're trying to get answers to some of this stuff in the interim so that we can come here with the right questions, okay? But that's the job that we chose to do. And we're here doing it. And I just want to give you a better understanding that we can't have every idea in the world. We got our own toolbox. And sometimes we're missing a tool, and we need you to step up and give us an idea so we can add that to our toolbox. And I appreciate those two ladies bringing it up, because I mean, that just opens up a whole new door for operating expenses for an aquatic center or for the golf course enterprise. Great ideas. So please come to these meetings and share your ideas. Thank you.
Okay, announcements and events. March 21st, it's Kites and Coffee, 2 p.m. at Civic Center Park. I don't know if that was something you initiated, Joe, or if that was, so.
You're gonna be there next year, this time? Bring your kite?
March 21st, yeah, I should be able to make that.
I hope so.
So, March 24th is the Board of Directors Town Hall at 5:30 at the Pueblo West Library. I would like to really encourage the public to attend, ask questions, complain. But really, I'd like questions that we can answer and hopefully assuage some of your concerns about what's going on in the district. But I encourage you to show up. It's a worthwhile thing. That's it. So I would entertain a motion to recess this regular meeting and enter into an executive session.
So moved.
5-minute break.
Yeah, we'll have a 5-minute break. Let me tell you what the executive session's about though before you go.
Sorry.
Okay.
Jumped the gun.
So, we're gonna have an executive session for 24-6-402 4E, the Colorado Revised Statutes determining positions relative to matters for that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators. And this is about matters pertaining to the negotiation of a lease of long-term relationship with the Board of Waterworks, and also sale of district property to KRF Pueblo.
So moved.
With that, let's have a 5-minute recess, and then we'll be back here.
Second vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's have a 5-minute recess.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.